Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Natred Reviews. YouTube's cracking down on ad blockers, and I don't want you all to have to deal with ads, so please enjoy some copyrighted music for a minute. Alright, hopefully that'll do it. So anyway, yeah, YouTube's really cracking down on ad blockers, and I'm an ad block fiend. I switched over to the Brave browser for a while, and that ad blocker worked for a while, and now that's not working anymore, so kind of got to take it under our own devices to find ways to navigate this ad block hostile world, because I'm not paying for YouTube Premium. Um, so anyways, welcome back to another Natred Review. Today we're going to be looking at some more footage of Kurai. Sparring old Iggy here, who's popped up on the channel a few times. And let's get into it. I'm going to work on not micro breaking down at a granular level everything here, because we have like a 16-minute long video to get through. So we'll try to just keep watching this at regular speed. Let me adjust my overlay here, added some fresh new features, and trying to figure out how much space I can really allot them. It's absolutely important that we keep both of these here. All right.
Just for you, buddy.
Wait, who are we calling out?
I figured we can just meet each other for a little bit. Buddy Natred likes to review your videos and likes to review my videos. So hey.
They said my name. Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm somewhat notable to fighters that are much, much, much better than I. I like that move a whole lot that we just saw Iggy do. That little jamming, let me get my cursor back here. That little jamming cross shot to stop aggression. Yep, just right there. I think it kind of forces your opponent to bring their sword guard back over into a more defensive position. Looks like a trade there. Seeing a bit more mobility out of Kurai starting out here than I feel like we normally see. But you know, if I had to pick one thing, if somebody asked me like, hey, if Kurai asked me like, hey, what should I work on? That would be my lowbrow assumption. You know, but it gets to the point where you have these fighters who are very, very good, where like maybe a whole lot of non-movement is kind of a stylistic choice, more so than just a gap in a skill set. Good. So one of the things that I look for, man, throw some significance on there. One of the things that I look for whenever I'm analyzing very good fighters in these videos is throwing with intention, setting things up. Like, Kurai looks like he lost the arm there, but that's a good example of what I mean, of throwing with intention. Kurai throws a shot, hearing this little interaction, that's supposed to lead into another one. Ended up reaching outside of his shield, but, you know, it's not just throwing what I like to call dump shots, where you're just doing something to be doing something, or you're doing something because you feel your opponent has to be. Very good, very good. I wish I could hit this more often. I always seem to hit my opponent in the head when I do that, and I'm pretty sure I just need to finally build a fucking Pell. Spend a lot of time pelling. Camped, yeah. Too much of the squat dumper on you. Come up and hit you in the butt. Yeah.
Oh, is that I squatted too low?
I feel like a lot of people, and this is me projecting because it's me too, don't throw for shield side hip enough. And I think that's something that low strap round shield users kind of get a little bit of a free boon off of, is the fact that that's not a shot thrown for very often. And it kind of takes folks, I think, a while to realize like you can just kind of throw for that with some more abandon once people are low strapped. Now, this is where real champions are made. The first highlight I ever did was Kurai winning this interaction while down an arm, because I feel like that's this is one of the moments you're more than likely going to find yourself in a tournament. And you can maximize every chance for you when you're down an arm against a board fighter, and it's still like not going to be likely that you win. But I feel like you need the ability to occasionally dig that out, like dig out that chance for victory when you're down an arm. If you want to see the way that Kurai did it in one of the first reviews that I did, the first review highlight that I did, go check it out. It's very neat, and again, it shows throwing shots with intention.
Just so Samir can use the bunch of.
It's part of the reason why punch shields are the best shields. You don't gotta take so much time to dump them. It's a style thing. No, I'm right. Listen. Yeah, a little bit of sloppage out of Iggy here. Obviously trying to set up Kurai with a little bit of, here's my shoulder, here's my shoulder. Yeah, and it's always like the worst feeling in the world whenever your slop gets caught. I like what Iggy's doing here too. Again, I fight punch, but this I call it fool's guard. What I tend to do a whole lot, though, is I'll lower my punch shield down like this, and I'll take my sword and have it laterally. So you kind of take that dynamic of like, I always describe to people that if you're going to be learning to sword block better while fighting with a shield, really from like your right nipple over, it kind of feels to me like that's going to be all of your sword's responsibility. So you like bisect it down the center line almost, where your shield cares about the things on your left side, your sword roughly cares about the things on your right side. You take that and you flip it horizontally to where your shield is now covering your lower half, and you have your sword up high to catch and return strikes. And I tell people, like, I adopt this guard, and people won't just swing on me. And I tell them, like, if I'm doing this, if I'm just giving you a target, you may as well just swing for it. It might be bait, don't overreach for it. It is bait, don't overreach for it. But like, the number of people who don't just stab me like in the chest, or at least try to whenever I have no shield there, kind of cracks me up. Yeah, Iggy fighting really tall here, gets kind of caught off balance. He had a good response to it, trying to tuck his butt back to the left, but it's just no room to go, no flexibility to get there. Nice. Yeah. That again, one of my bread and butter shots I try to do all the time. I just like have to pell myself out of throwing headshots in there. Yeah, I wonder if Kurai thought that he was going to fully reset back into guard. This is pretty neat from Iggy. I like this idea of throwing this big spin. I don't like spin shots in general, but like spin shots are basically one gigantic fake, right? So he throws this big gigantic fake, but what like the real mental fuckery that this causes is Kurai kind of goes back into the fight like Iggy's in a normal guard when Iggy has this sword way over his head. Tries to engage, and Iggy's already like halfway to landing. That little lateral chop. Yeah. I will say this, I don't know if this is from Kurai's fitness background, or maybe even still throwing a little bit heavy from some cross gaming that he's done, but he definitely seems to be throwing with a lot more intent, with a lot more whack on it than Iggy does. I've seen Iggy get caught a couple times throwing some little tappies, which I'm sure they're playing Amp Guard, and in that game you can generate absolutely legal killing, blows with that. But I always like to kind of err on the side of the lowest common denominator, people being just extra thick rhinos. Man, I don't think I've hardly ever seen Kurai throw a spin. So it's almost like it's a spin into a counter spin, and it's just so much time. And you turn your back to your opponent. When you break that line of sight, you kind of like lose your ability to range as well because you're not looking at them. Good. Talking about intention. Freeze them high. Yeah. That little, like, swack over the top. Get their guard posted up a little bit high on that side. A little bit of movement back to fake that you're going to be going back to that shield side. And again, if you look at Kurai earlier, there's been several times where he's landed that cross chop into flat wrap. And so now we're primed to see that cross chop come in. And that makes us believe that the next thing is going to be a flat wrap. And so Kurai throws the cross chop, sweeps up high to the flat wrap. This smells like Tato. I believe that Tato was one of the bigger influences on Kurai when he was seriously getting good. And if you've watched Tato's Houndbreak video on the Lead Exchange playlist, some of the motions look very similar to this. We start with this cross chop. Iggy has been programmed at this point to know that Kurai is going to follow this up more than likely with a flat wrap. So he has to respect it, and then Kurai comes right back in for the lower shot on that same side. So yeah, there's a plan, right? There's some actual strategy going on here. Yeah, and sometimes dump shots get you killed. Yeah, sometimes you can stab a fighter who's worse than you, markedly worse than you in the shield just to get their attention. But, yeah, the thing about dump shots is they don't really accomplish that much. Can we talk about the mutual exchanging of high crosses here? Those are some belted knight quality. Those are some Squire and Sword Knight quality high crosses, my guys. Might have dug up into the butt on that one. Yeah, maybe right on the bottom of the hip line. Interesting to see Iggy is now full choked up on the sword. I don't know if he's been like that for a while. First time I've noticed it. Yeah. I think if you're really savvy, when you'll see your opponent switch their grip like that, and you'll know that there's going to be some more close range aggression coming. But then the question then becomes like, okay, now that you know that's coming, what do you do about it? Yeah. I think Iggy got caught hiding behind his shield a little bit. Yeah. That's a shitty 5-1-2. I didn't say it. Yeah. Yeah. Now we see. So we want to talk about like training and punishing and programming people. Lands again. Another shot to the shield side shoulder. Back her on up. Back her on up. Just wanted to verify. Okay, yeah, this does come in flat wrapped. And now, this is probably what, the fourth, fifth, or sixth time that Kurai's landed this shot in some function. It is, you cannot, like, help but start to mentally respect that and anticipate that more and more and more. So now let's watch where Iggy resets. Look how high this shield is now. Like, the guard that says, by fucking God, I don't care what happens, I'm never getting hit in that shoulder again. Now I'm going to be interested to see if Kurai just either waits to go back to it, or just resets into, like, now focus on other things. Was that good? Oh, it was good. Kind of flipped in there, a little flupper. It's a beautiful fall day. Both, I'm assuming this is in Colorado and in Oklahoma. It's actually nice weather here, which is a rarity. No one should live here. It's bad. Little bit of a Brett popping out here. Yeah. And I spoke a moment ago about how we don't see Iggy throwing with a bunch of vim, verb, and vigor into these shots. We kind of see that happening here. I don't think that him throwing harder from this angle would have resulted in a kill, but throwing deeper may have. And bases really close together. It's a very all-in shot. And again, I wonder if this is if kind of gathering from context clues earlier. Them talking about how, talking about me reviewing each of their vids separately. I wonder if this is one of the first times or the first time these guys have fought. So there's some exploratory stuff going on here. Yeah, loses the arm. Little micro brain moments of like I believe happen whenever you land a block like this, and suddenly your brain goes like, oh, I can just stick that block, and so now your hand just stays high, thinking that you can just get away with it again. Also love the go beyond on the inside of Kurai's shield, just in case you ever forget who the fuck you are. You can remember that All Might is watching you. Now I'm starting to see some more fluidity, it looks like, out of both of these fighters. Back into frame, fellas. Back into frame. Well, while we're waiting, I hope you all had a good weekend. It's Sunday right now. I missed practice yesterday due to automotive troubles. I'm doing this right now because I'm delaying going to the gym. Just living the dream, living the dream. Been playing a shit ton of the Cyberpunk expansion. It's been a lot of fun. And now we're back in. Yeah. I feel like at this point, if these both were like true whackbot fighters with no emotion involved, yeah, Kurai's arm got floating out there, we'd probably turn off the spin mode button at this point. Yeah. Kurai again is trying for something here with his forearm floating out here pretty far. Got him caught in the wrist the first time, caught in the underarm this time. Interested to see if he goes for it again. I'd like to see what it is he's working on here. Yeah. Maybe he's just trying to cheat out a little bit of extra distance to be further into a shot whenever the exchange begins. Yeah. See, like right there. See that shit exactly. I do a very similar guard as I discussed earlier, and I'm always curious why people just don't fucking hit me. We're having a goof there. I like the idea. I like the half spin into flat wrap coming back around, but it's just takes so long. I'm curious who Iggy here fights a lot on average, because like, it could just be like a bunch of guys casually sparring, but I feel like if you're going to spinning, if you're spinning that often, if you're going to that low shield guard that often, might be kind of playing around with some lower skilled people. And that's cool. That's totally fine. I'm just kind of like trying to investigate like where these patterns of behavior might be coming from. Really? That looked like a lot of shield to me. And so, earlier we were seeing Kurai throw things like that little cross chop into flat wrap, right? And it seems it's happened a few times, and now we're just kind of playing with that. How much of that cross chop do I have to throw to make it work? Because ideally, you want your fake to be as small as possible to accomplish its mission, so you're not throwing yourself super out of guard. And so instead of actually throwing the cross chops up the flat, if you can just motion for it and get enough of a pump out of them, is good. All right. The old board versus board impromptu single sword offhand sparring method. I've seen this before. I couldn't really tell if that was supposed to be a trade. Okay, gave it to Kurai. All right. The big dive. Did he hit it on the first or the second? Might have been the second. The first looked blocked out. Yep, came back up. Well, he shouldn't. Yeah, Kurai says he shouldn't have moved his hand, but also that was some wacky ass shit. Yeah. It's always nice and honorable to treat your armed opponents fairly, but always remember that when in doubt, look at these people miring in the background. They want to do it, but they're scared. They feel it's an unmasculine activity to swing fake swords with your bros. But it's not. And look at these two absolute titans of manhood over here beating the crap out of each other. What the fuck was I talking about? What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. It's always important to remember that after you arm somebody, you can always just dig for a leg shot as like a pretty easy way to close it out. It was one of the neat things that was different about the LARP I started out playing, which is a full contact LARP, was it was a three-limb death game. And so it was kind of funny because sometimes you just lost both arms and you had both legs left. And it's like, well, fuck. Yeah, throwing kind of a similar shot there to what we saw Kurai doing with the flat wrap, or the cross chop to flat wrap earlier, just throwing it a little bit lower. We're getting some great images of Kurai dealing with seasonal allergies. After you hit Warlord, that's actually the next grind you got to go on, is conquering allergies. Nice. Now it looks like these fellows are kind of loosening up a little bit. Have been loosening up. So just something kind of micro I picked up on. If we could actually trust Iggy's sightline from watching it in this 2D plane of a video, look like there's a lot of focus here on Kurai's like center mass on this right arm, and then when Kurai throws, he doesn't catch the block in guard. He comes out and meets it. And this was one of the first tips I ever got when I was trying to transition from being a like low-level mediocre fighter to what I am now, a truly mediocre fighter. Is you don't want to be reaching out for your blocks, right? I've met people, I believe Fenton might be one of them, who will punish you for doing this because they'll act like he's throwing forward, then half cock back and come down laterally or from the side, almost like a wrap in like the neutral space between fighters to people on the forearms. So this is something that could be punishable. We only got a couple minutes left. We'll see if this gets relevant or not.
Way too far.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that kind of awkwardness here at the end when we wrap up, too. Yeah, and again, same thing. Kurai, I think, has kind of found his groove. Now he knows that he has that weapon in the back pocket. And same with Iggy, landing again that butt wrap he landed earlier. This is exciting. I'm excited to talk about this when we wrap up here at the end. What I feel like we've seen so far. Actually, that's too much contact for Amp Guard. I literally got told that the first Amp Guard event I went to, and again, this was years ago. This was probably like 2007, 2008. But
Yeah, honestly, might have been armed first. I just haven't just stabbed you, but yeah.
had to stab slide up. It be like that. Was that the greatest and chiefest of calamities with a low strap? I know I didn't invent the shot, but I did invent this name for it. It is! It is the greatest and chiefest of calamities. Yeah. Disgusting, not taking legs in sparring. Fake spin out of Iggy. Good exchanges. Yep, there it is. Yep. Little stab there at the end. Looks like we might have one more bout here. Half spin out of Kurai. Yeah. Get caught on the break. Break time, fellas. I agree. So, I feel like what we saw here were a couple of, obviously skilled fighters. And we got to watch them do what seems like really interact and spar together for the first time, maybe. If not the first time, then one of the very first times. And what I feel like we really saw here was a real exemplification of that idea that fighting is a conversation, whether it's foam fighting or boxing or whatever, any kind of like physical competition you have with another person. You're having some sort of conversation during that fight. And what we saw here felt like that kind of awkward getting to know each other phase where you really don't know what you guys are going to talk about. You don't know what you have in common. You don't know what each other's strengths or weaknesses are. And I feel like we really saw both of these kind of hit their stride through Kurai figuring out like, okay, so that little cross chop into flat wrap is very viable. We saw Iggy also experimenting around and maybe finally landing on the idea that ass wrap is pretty viable. And what excites me about this a lot is I feel like the best fights are against people who have been talking together for a really long time. All of a sudden, it gets very 4D chess, very like multi-layer. Like for example, a month from now, if these guys spar again, they both will know. Kurai will know, and so will Iggy, that Kurai is going to have a tendency to try for that flat wrap building off of that cross chop. Iggy will know it. That throwing for the ass is a decent kill shot on Kurai. And with both parties being aware of that knowledge, you start building this layered interaction between fighters. And the better of a fighter you are, the more layers you get deep. I'm not sure if you ever had this interaction, but you'll be fighting somebody you fought like a million times, or watching two people fight each other who have fought a million times, and like a small thing will happen, and one of the fighters or both fighters will just immediately start laughing and call dead or something, because they know they've been through this iterative process so many times that they've already put themselves into a position where, like, six moves later in the 4D chess, they're probably already going to be losing. So anyway, that was really interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed it and hung out for all 30 damn minutes of this video. Good lord.